Welcome to my office hours. Come on in, take a seat. In today's explainer, I'm going to guide you through some fairly abstract concepts: validity, reliability, and trustworthiness. Why? So you can confidently design and, more importantly, defend your research methodology. As a research professor, I see brilliant students struggle with these concepts every single semester. But honestly, mastering them, that's the difference between a study that gets published and one that just gets rejected.
I literally tell every single one of my advisees this golden rule. A study's quality depends entirely on the deliberate, upfront planning of both your instrument and your design. You cannot, and I mean cannot, retroactively fix a broken methodology once the data is already collected. It's just too late. Rigor has to be baked right into the DNA of your project from day one.
All right, let's quickly run through the syllabus for today's meeting. We're going to cover trusting your research design, opening up the quantitative toolkit, designing qualitative trustworthiness, successfully mixing methods, and we'll wrap up by diagnosing those common rookie mistakes.
Okay, Section 1. Trusting your research design. Can we actually trust this study?
To truly understand trust in research, you've got to separate validity from reliability. Think of it like a bathroom scale. Let's say your scale is always exactly 3 kilograms too high. Well, it is perfectly reliable, right? Because it's giving you a consistent score every time. But it is utterly invalid because it's completely inaccurate. A tool can totally be reliable without being valid. But remember this absolutely crucial point. It cannot be valid if it's completely unreliable. Validity is all about the accuracy of your interpretation, whereas reliability is strictly about the stability of those scores across time, across items, or across different researchers. Moving right along to Section 2, let's open up the quantitative toolkit and look at instruments and design.
Now, here's a taxonomy of instrument validity you really need to understand, and I have to warn you, simply naming a concept doesn't magically prove construct validity. You might start off with content validity through expert review, or maybe face validity to make sure it's clear to participants. Though, keep in mind, face validity is definitely the weakest form of evidence. To truly prove construct validity, you actually have to collect convergent and discriminant evidence, mathematically demonstrating that your data behaves exactly as the theory predicts.
Okay, so beyond validity, we've got to prove consistency. My advisees mix these up all the time, but you absolutely must match your reliability evidence to the specific tool you're using. Are you using a grading rubric? Then you need an inter-rater check. Using a questionnaire, you're going to look for internal consistency to make sure all those different items are measuring the exact same underlying construct. It's not one size fits all. You have to choose the reliability check that actually makes sense for your measurement strategy.
Shifting gears entirely now, Section 3. Designing qualitative trustworthiness, getting into depth and context. So, in the qualitative world, we drop the numbers. Here, credibility is basically your confidence in the truth. And how do you build that? You use strategies like triangulation, where you cross-verify with different data sources, or you rely on prolonged engagement out in the field. You've got to prove to your committee that your interpretation is a highly believable, highly accurate reflection of what your participants actually lived and experienced. Now, a big heads up. You cannot automatically generalize qualitative findings like you do in quant. You just can't. Instead, you have to provide thick descriptions and incredibly rich participant details. Why? So the reader can judge the transferability for themselves. You're basically painting a picture with very clear boundaries, giving future researchers enough context so they can look at your work and decide, hey, might this apply to my completely different setting? And to prove your qualitative process is reliable, you need dependability and confirmability. Look, if your committee cannot clearly trace your logic through your reflexive journals and a super strict audit trail, your dependability is shot. It's compromised. Transparency is literally the backbone of reliability here. We need to see, without a doubt, that your findings came directly from the participants' data, and not just from your own personal researcher bias. All right, for those of you brave enough to tackle both approaches, here is Section 4, Mixing Methods Successfully. Take a look at this breakdown, because it brilliantly illustrates that good mixed methods rigor is not just doing two separate strands at the same time. As my students figure out pretty quickly, the true test is your integration quality. Sure, you have to address validity for your quantitative side and trustworthiness for your qualitative side, but a full 34% of your overall rigor relies entirely on how well you discuss the contradictions, merge your findings, and actually integrate them to answer your core research problem. And now for arguably the most important part of our meeting today, Section 5, Fixing Common Rookie Mistakes. Let's start the interrogation. Okay, pop quiz. Let me ask you this. If you calculate a super high Cronbach's alpha, does that mean your tool is valid? Absolutely not. Seriously, students try to slip this past me every single semester. Chromebacks Alpha proves internal consistency, meaning, yes, your items are working together nicely, but it tells us literally nothing about whether you are actually measuring the right concept. Remember that bathroom scale we talked about earlier? It can be highly consistent, highly reliable, and still be entirely 100% wrong.
Let's try another one. If you use member checking, have you guaranteed the credibility of your qualitative study? Like, is just going back to your participants enough to completely bulletproof your methodology chapter?
Nope. Member checking is just one strategy in your arsenal. True rigor requires layering multiple techniques, like triangulation alongside negative case analysis. Never, ever rely on a single silver bullet to prove your trustworthiness. It won't hold up.
Before you head out of my office today, I want you to mentally grab this practical checklist to strengthen your methodology chapters. Make sure you pilot your instruments. Document every single decision you make. Use tools that have already been validated whenever you possibly can. Triangulate your data. And keep that audit trail updated. I promise you, if you follow these steps, you are going to save yourself a massive headache during your final defense. So here is the bottom line. Perfect, seamless alignment is absolutely mandatory, flowing from your initial problem all the way down to your final analysis. Every single choice you make has to logically connect to the next one. If your tool doesn't match your design, or your analysis doesn't clearly answer your specific research questions, your entire methodology chapter will completely collapse when you try to defend it.
I'm going to leave you with the ultimate question, the one you absolutely must answer in your methodology chapter. What specific planned evidence have you provided that effectively forces the reader to trust your results? Seriously, go look at your current draft right now and ask yourself, have I actually proven my case with hard evidence, or am I just hoping the reader takes my word for it?